You're on.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon and welcome to City Council meeting. Today is Monday, October 21st, 2024. It's approximately 1 p.m. I'm Mayor Enriquez. Before I start, I want to mention that we have an ASL, American Sign Language interpreter, available at every regular council meeting, and she will be in the front for anyone who requires interpretation services. We'll start with a moment of silence for the brave men and women of the United States Armed Forces as they protect our interests around the globe, as well as the courageous men and women of the Las Cruces Police and Las Cruces Fire Department. Keep our city safe 24/7. Unfortunately, also, we had a tragic ending at our Air and Space Expo this weekend. There was an aircraft accident during Sunday's performance that resulted in the death of pilot Charles T. Chuck Coleman. This accident is currently being investigated, and we would like to extend our deepest condolences to the loved ones and fans of Chuck and invite everyone to join me in a moment of silence for him as well. Thank you. Councilor McClure, if you'll lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so let's go ahead. Before we start our presentations and certificates, we want to see if we can vote in Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo to be online for this meeting.
Move to approve. Second, Corin.
This is on the motion to allow Councillor Bencomo to attend the meeting via Zoom. Councillor McClure?
Yes.
Councillor Matisse is absent. Councillor Graham?
Yes.
Councillor Cran?
Yes.
Councillor Flores?
Yes.
Councillor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Okay, now we'll move to the presentations and certificates. If Councillor McClure wants to join me, and we'll start out with the recognition of the Veterans Parade Grand Marshals. So the first recognition is a recognition of our Grand Marshals. Have with us here Bill Hawkins and members of the Veterans Parade Committee that have joined me up here. This year's parade theme is honoring our first responders as veterans, and at this time we would like to recognize those who have been selected to serve as the Grand Marshals. And with that, I'll turn it over to Bill so he can identify and recognize those individuals.
Thank you, Mayor. I noticed what you did here. Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, members of the City Council, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Bill Hawkins, the committee chair for the Las Cruces Veterans Parade. Since its inception in 1995, the Las Cruces Veterans Parade has sought to recognize area veterans who have been exemplary citizens and leaders in our community by appointing them Parade Grand Marshals. The committee considered various factors, including service, must be a veteran who served honorably in any of the nation's uniformed armed services, civic leadership or participation, must have served the Las Cruces community, to include Doñana County, New Mexico, or the country, such that the quality of the contribution is of a lasting and enduring nature, And character. Individual must have consistently demonstrated the highest quality of character, including but not limited to high degrees of honesty, integrity, and honor. We have honored veterans from all modern eras, from the greatest generation of World War II to the Korean War, to those who served in the Vietnam War, and more recently, many veterans of the various Middle East conflicts. After recognizing Las Cruces veterans who served in Operation Desert Storm last year, we realized that there exists a group of veterans who, on a daily basis, play a very vital role in the city of Las Cruces: first responders. First responders, members of law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel, put their safety and welfare on the line on a daily basis. And various agencies from throughout Doña Ana County are fortunate to have many veterans of the armed forces in their respective departments. This year, we are honoring those who served their country's armed forces in their younger years and continue to serve as valuable members of law enforcement, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel. With the following 2024 Veterans Parade Grand Marshals and their supervisors, please come forward. Benjamin Balderrama, Doña Ana County Sheriff's Department, El Paso International Airport Security, a member of the U.S. Army. The next is Michael Daniels from the Las Cruces Fire Department, U.S. Navy. Unfortunately, he is unable to attend. Next, Larry Garcia, Doña Ana County Sheriff's Department, U.S. Marine Corps. Joshua Herrera, Las Cruces Police Department, U.S. Marine Corps. Marvin Kelly, Las Cruces Police Department, U.S. Army. Summer Stanzion, Las Cruces Fire Department, paramedic, U.S. Army. And Luis Vela, Las Cruces Fire Department, the U.S. Air Force. If you want to hand those out. They are receiving a copy of the parade poster for this year, signed by Mayor Enriquez. Do you want to hand those out? Brian. There will be a ceremony. There will be a ceremony immediately before the parade on November 9th to present them with Parade Grand Marshal medallions. That ceremony will occur at approximately 10 a.m. near the Wells Fargo Bank at the corner of Loman Avenue and Main Street. One more time, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Please join us for the 2024 Las Cruces Veterans Parade, honoring all veterans, but especially those who have chosen to continue to serve as first responders in their community. Thank you.
Good. Okay. We have, can I ask Richard Weaver to join me up here? Do we have a Richard Weaver? Next will be a proclamation for the Friends of the Community Candy Drop Day, presented to Richard Weaver. Whereas Richard Weaver, owner of Weaver's Welding, wanted an event to bring young people and authority figures together in a friendly, non-threatening atmosphere, and whereas he and many friends of the community sponsored the first Great Pumpkin Candy Drop in 2006, and whereas he formed the Friends of the Community, a 501c3 organization, and whereas he rented Mag Park, solicited donations of cash and or candy, and invited kids, young and old, and whereas he also invited the Las Cruces Police Department, Las Cruces Fire Department, Doña Ana County Sheriff's Posse, public officials, everyone who represents authority, and whereas he has grown the candy drop to include all 4 fields at Mag Park with music, events, and booths. His only mandate is that everything is free. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim Saturday, October 27th, 2024, as the Friends of the Community Candy Drop Day, and encourage everyone to support the Friends of the Community and help them provide a safe, fun event for young people. Signed by Eric Enriquez, Mayor, and Christine Rivera, City Clerk.
I'd like to express my appreciation to the fire department, police department, parks and recs, all of the businesses, and some of the nonprofit organizations around the city and around the state. I even get donations as far away as Clovis and Roswell to help fund this event. I've done it 3 years prior to becoming a 501c3, but the event is open to anybody. I'm inviting all the councilmen, the mayor, to please come down. If you can't make it, send your kids or your grandkids, and they'll have a blast. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Back to what? Oh, you go. Okay. Yeah, there's a pad.
Next will be an Aaron Butler. Would you like to come up? It'll be the proclamation for the Pride of New Mexico Day. Whereas the NMSU Pride of New Mexico Marching Band has continued to demonstrate superb musical excellence, and whereas the NMSU Pride of New Mexico Marching Band has performed tirelessly at university and community functions for more than a century, and whereas the NMSU Pride of New Mexico Marching Band has shown outstanding loyalty to the University, Las Cruces, and the Southwest, and whereas the NMSU Pride of New Mexico Marching Band has endeared itself in the hearts of the citizens of Las Cruces, and whereas the city now wishes to recognize your very own Pride of New Mexico Marching Band. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim October 22nd, 2024 as Pride of New Mexico Day in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Signed by Eric Enriquez, Mayor, and our City Clerk, Christine Rivera.
Hello, thank you for having us. Sorry that there wasn't much more of a showing. It turns out 1 p.m. on a Monday isn't a great time for college students to get out of class. So this is just a handful of our staff from the marching band. We have Raymond McCroskey, who's a field boss for us, Aaron Hester, who's a member of our color guard, and Gavin Gilbertson, who's, just like me, a member of the media team. And we continue to kind of put things forward so that people can see us when we're not performing. Thank you for allowing us this honor. This was kind of an extension of a 1978 proclamation, doing the same thing, only it kept it down to 1 day, and this is hopefully making it an annual occasion. So thank you for having us, and yeah, go Aggies.
Next, if we could have Nicole Perez and Angie Frias. We'll be doing a proclamation for Careers in Construction Month. Whereas Careers in Construction Month is an annual month designated to increase public awareness and appreciation of construction craft professionals and the entire construction workforce, and whereas during this month, employers, associations, and schools are encouraged to conduct job fairs, panel discussions, and local community events to inform students of the vast employment opportunities in construction, and whereas the construction industry is one of our nation's largest industries, employing more than 5 million individuals in the U.S., and whereas the construction industry needs 1.9 million new craft professionals by 2025. And whereas we are pleased to honor the construction craft profession and the critical role they play in the development and growth of our city of Las Cruces, New Mexico. And whereas NCCER was created by the construction industry to standardize training and enhance the industry image by promoting the hard work and dedication of our nation's craft professionals. And whereas the mission of the NMCA Build My Future initiative is to narrow the skills gap by guiding America's youth and displaced workers into opportunities that lead to long-term rewarding careers in construction. And whereas the goal of the Build My Future initiative is to shift the public's negative perception about careers in the construction industry and provide a path for individuals to become craft professionals. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of October of 2024 as Careers in Construction Month in the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and urge all citizens to join us in this special observance. Signed by Mayor Eric Enriquez and attested by Christine Rivera, City Clerk.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Angie Frias. I'm the Foundation Development Director with the NMCA. I just want to thank the City Council for presenting this proclamation for Careers in Construction Month. We started this month off with a successful 5th annual Build My Future event. That, of course, was made possible by our vendors and sponsors in the industry. And, of course, we always want to encourage youth to follow different pathways if they're not college material or have other plans. So, thank you very much.
Yeah. Next, if we can have Enrique Garcia. This will be the proclamation for lights on Afterschool Day. Whereas the people of the city of Las Cruces, New Mexico, stand firmly committed to the quality after-school programs and opportunities because they provide safe, challenging, and engaging learning experiences that help children develop social, emotional, physical, and academic skills, support working families by ensuring children are safe and productive when they are not in school, build stronger communities, and promote positive relationships by involving students, parents, business leaders, and adult volunteers in the lives of young people, engage families, schools, and community partners in advancing youth welfare, and offer young people many demonstrated positive benefits, particularly in their academic studies, social and emotional health, and their overall physical well-being. And whereas Las Cruces after-school programs continue to be innovative with programming that keeps children engaged, supports their social emotional learning, and improves their essential soft skills that are crucial to their development. And whereas the city of Las Cruces is honored to be the home of several community organizations that provide leadership in youth, health, and education, and believe quality after-school programs help our children become successful adults, including the Paso del Norte Health Foundation's Healthy Kids Initiative, the United Way of El Paso County, and the Boost Network and its members such as the City of Las Cruces Parks and Recreation Department, Boys and Girls Club of Las Cruces, Enrich the Kids, Cruces Creatives, Community Action Agency, the NMSU STEM Outreach Center, and the Friends of the Oregon Mountains Desert Peaks. And whereas studies have shown that young people who participate in after-school programs become better in school, develop leadership skills, and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors and experience reduced behavioral problems. And whereas Lights On After School, the national celebration of after-school programs, will be held this year on October 24th, 2024, to promote the importance of quality after-school programs in the lives of children, families, and communities. And whereas the City of Las Cruces is committed to the health and safety of all young people and to providing expanded learning opportunities to help close opportunity gaps and better prepare young people for future success. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim Thursday, October 24th, 2024 as Lights On After School Day and enthusiastically endorse evidence-based after-school programs and activities that ensure their lights stay on and the doors stay open for all children after school. Signed by Mayor Eric Enriquez and attested by our City Clerk, Christine Rivera.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Day. I'm the program officer in charge of the Healthy Kids Initiative, which brings this amazing group of folks who are in out-of-school time program together, not just funding them, but also building the capacity. At the Paso del Norte Health Foundation, we fund the entire region, which includes Luna, Otero, and Doña Ana counties here in southern New Mexico, as well as their neighbors across the border in Ciudad Juarez, and 2 counties in Texas, El Paso and Husband. It really takes a village to raise a kid, and I am very grateful to everyone, the council and everyone in Las Cruces to support Lights On After School efforts. We really need to work hard to continue keeping the lights on after school for the kids to stay in a safe environment where they can thrive and be healthy. Thank you.
Next, if we could have Martha Rodriguez. And this will be the proclamation for the 25th anniversary of Las Esperanzas. Whereas the Mesquite Historic District has one of the largest concentrations of historical original adobe houses in the Southwest, and in 1985, this Mesquite Street Historic District, original town site of Las Cruces, was listed in the National Register of Historic Places. And whereas in 1999, 25 years ago, the late Consuelo Lerma, a retired widow and lifelong resident of the district, concerned about the deteriorating conditions in her neighborhood and unsuccessful in getting help from the appropriate officials, formed an alliance with several of her neighbors and friends, and together they founded Las Esperanzas, a nonprofit grassroots organization. And whereas on January 27, 2024, the Doña Ana County Historical Society, at their annual awards program, recognized the late Consuelo Lerma as the catalyst and founder of Las Esperanzas, Inc. And whereas now 25 years later, Las Esperanzas is proud to announce that membership has increased and that members share the same vision as the original founders, supporting the revitalization and preservation of the historic neighborhood and the preservation of its culture. And whereas, as a result of its strong membership, LEI was successful in obtaining capital outlay funding for numerous changes and improvements to the neighborhood, including an additional handicap-accessible entrance at Klein Park, shade over the playground equipment, repairs to this park stage, and additional lighting to the neighborhood. And whereas Las Esperanzas sought and received funding for the collection of oral histories of residents and others influenced by the historic neighborhood, LEI created a partnership with NMSU's Library and Special Collections and Archives, where oral histories will be stored, and partnered with NMSU's History Department students who have assisted in the collection of oral histories. And whereas Las Esperanzas successfully raised funds to commission a mural behind the stage of Klein Park to commemorate 25 years of building community. LEI appointed a committee to plan for the 25th anniversary celebration on 26 October 2024 at Klein Park. And whereas for 10 years, Las Esperanzas annually sponsors, along with a local restaurant La Nueva Casita and El Calvario Methodist Church, the Weed and Seed Enchilada fundraiser to purchase winter coats and shoes for all the children that participate in the Weed and Seed program. And whereas Las Esperanzas has leased plots for several years to allow children from the Weed and Seed program to learn about gardening and grow their own vegetables and herbs. The Jardín de Las Esperanzas Community Garden was made possible by funds secured by Las Esperanzas several years ago. And whereas Las Esperanzas will continue to spearhead projects that support the preservation of the Mesquite Street Historic District's history, culture, quality of life for those who live, work, and visit the district with projects such as the Loman Amador Redesign Project. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of Las Cruces, New Mexico, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as the 25th anniversary of Las Esperanzas, signed by Mayor Eric Enriquez and attested by City Clerk Christine Rivera.
Thank you, City Council, Mayor, for this recognition. We are very grateful to all of those people that have supported us throughout the years. It's really incredible if you think about it that we have survived for 25 years with an all-volunteer board and all-volunteer members that really and truly shows the support and the love that we have for the Mesquite Historic District, where, I don't know if you know this, but this is the original town site of Las Cruces, where, Las Cruces was born. And so we're very proud of that. And I think all of us should be proud of that, not just those of us who live or have property or have connection to the neighborhood, but all the city as a whole should be proud that we have that area and still have preserved a lot of the original homes. Just recently, actually last week, during one of our interviews for our oral history project, we interviewed a gentleman whose family has been in the neighborhood since the 1700s. That's really incredible. And that he still lives in the same home where his family first came here, where it wasn't even the U.S. yet, right? It is just incredible to me. And we really need to work hard on preserving our history and our culture here in Las Cruces. So I thank you very much.
If you're part of Las Esperanzas, now's your time to come up here.
Please.
One of the things that designates the original town site and the Mesquite Historic District are these medallions that were put on 117 street signs, street lights. And what it is, it's an original home that my grandfather built, and my mother, who founded Las Esperanzas, that was her father. And this particular house is the model for these signs to designate the historic district. Thank you.
Sorry. I just want to say, I'm sorry, too much, but we invite you to come and join us on our fiesta, our celebration on Saturday, this coming Saturday, between 1 and 5. We're going to have actually the NMSU folklorico dancers, mariachi band, and a live band, and we have free food for all the children that will attend, and also free paletas for everyone. So thank you.
Okay, next we have on the agenda Jobs of the Week, Sarah Rainey.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Rainey. I am the one-stop coordinator manager for the Southwest region of New Mexico Workforce Connections. For Jobs of the Week, we have a budget analyst for the city. That one starts at $53,000, and it did not have a closing date on that one just yet. We also have a gas leak survey technician for the city. That one starts at $23.79 an hour, and the posting closes on the 28th. We have a human resource clerk for White Sands Missile Range. That one closes on the 26th of this month as well. We have a sales associate for Petco Animal Supply Store. That one starts at $25,000 a year, and the posting closes on the 15th of November. We have a project manager facilities at NMSU for $53,000 a year, and the posting closes on the 15th. And we have a bilingual personal banker for First National Bank Texas here in Las Cruces for $35,000 a year starting, and then the posting closes on the 14th of November. As always, we're here at 226 South Alameda. You can reach us on any of our social media sites for any of the information on any of our local events throughout the region as well. You can log on to employeeNM.com to find out more. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sarah. Next is Pets of the Week, Carol.
Good afternoon. My name is Carol Nilsson. I'm with Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. I am the digital content specialist. This week for the Cat of the Week, we have Torty, number 80551, if you want to look her up online. She says, I'm a sweet little 2-year-old domestic short hair. Life in the shelter can be a little overwhelming for me, and I tend to be a bit shy at first. However, once I feel safe and have the chance to connect with someone special, my affectionate side shines through. I'm looking for a loving home where I can take my time to adjust and build trust. If you're patient and willing to give me a chance, I promise to reward you with purrs and cuddles. For the Dog of the Week, we have Capri, number 75020, to look her up online. I'm a joyful and energetic pup ready to find my forever home. I have a sweet disposition and a heart full of love, always eager to please my humans. Whether it's a stroll around the neighborhood or a romp in the park, I'm always up for some fun. I would thrive in an active household where I can join in on fun and games. Let's make some beautiful memories together. And this week, we are going to have our adoption event Saturday, October 26th at Petco. The address is 3050 East Lowman. We'll be there from between 11 and 2, so come on out. It's also a great opportunity to get your supplies as well. So definitely come to our event. We're also on social media, so definitely feel free to follow us for more information, day-to-day and week-to-week activities. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carol. Next is a conflict of interest.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Natalie Green for the record. This is a public disclosure for a potential conflict of interest regarding former Mayor Pro Tem Cassandra Gandara and La Casa Inc. I'm going to provide a little context for why we do this, just because we haven't done one in a couple years. The city is a recipient of both community development block grant funds and home investment partnerships, and the regulations that apply are 24 CFR 570, 92, and 200. In those regulations, a covered person is any person who's an employee, agent, consultant, officer, or elected official or appointed official of the recipient. In this case, it's the city, and any public agency or subrecipient. In this case, it's La Casa, who receives CDBG or home funds. And this includes individuals with decision-making authority in the administration of CDBG or home funds. Prohibited actions, it's just a general rule that anyone who exercises or has exercised any functions or responsibilities with respect to CDBG or home activities have to disclose any potential conflict of interest, and that conflict extends 1 year after the tenure of, in this case, their termination of services to the city as a city councilor. The disclosure today is, again, La Casa Inc. is a recipient of both CDBG and home funds. They are also a potential recipient of future federal funds. Former Mayor Pro Tem Cassandra Gandara served on the City Council until December 31st of 2023, so the 1-year term extends to December 2024. She was recently contracted with La Casa Inc., and again, Mayor Pro Tem has an excellent record of social service and community outreach and advocacy in our community. She is not involved in the day-to-day management of CDBG or home, but this does represent a potential conflict as described in the regulations. HUD will consider exceptions on a case-by-case basis in order to request those exceptions, which the city is requesting. First, we have to be made aware of the conflict through the conflict of interest. We solicit a legal opinion from our city attorney, and then we have to do a public disclosure, which is today's action, and then we will submit all of this documentation through a written request to the local HUD field office, who will make a determination, and then they'll notify us of their determination. So that is the public disclosure for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Natalie. So next is the conflict of interest of any member of City Council, City Manager, or any other staff known conflict of interest with any other item on the agenda?
None by Flores.
None, Graham.
None McClure.
None.
None.
Okay, thank you. Next is public participation will allow up to 3 minutes, no pending litigation or items on the non-consent. I'd like to call up first Nora Candelaria. Nora, we've communicated properly and give you about 5 minutes to go ahead and introduce yourself and organization.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, I'm actually Dana DeHerrera Smith, so I work with Porch Light Health with Nora Candelaria and Andrew Thomas, and I'm our Director of Community Engagement and Development, and we provide comprehensive substance use disorder treatment to folks suffering with all types of substance use disorder, so alcohol, opioid, stimulant, sedative use disorder. We are a new clinic here in Las Cruces, so we have been providing substance use disorder treatment in Colorado for the last decade. And have over 60 points of care across Colorado, and started our expansion into New Mexico in 2019. However, COVID did the COVID thing and kind of delayed us a bit, and so we've restarted expanding into New Mexico to provide substance use disorder treatment. We use a low barrier, high access model, so really we're just trying to support people with whatever the substance of choice is and whatever their recovery goal is. So we use what we call patient-defined recovery, meaning that we will support people in whatever they want to do. If they want to just reduce and find a more manageable relationship with their substance of choice, we will work with them on that. If they want full abstinence, we will work with them on that. So we provide medications for addiction treatment for both opioid and alcohol use disorder. We also have worked with stimulant and sedative use disorder in this fashion as well. We provide behavioral health services to folks with substance use disorder, as well as psychiatric services to people. Our psychiatric program is very specific to those with substance use disorder, so it is a benzo-free or a sedative-free, and I shouldn't say sedative, benzodiazepine specifically free, as well as stimulant-free program, and really does take the focus of substance use. So this is for folks who have maybe found recovery but are wanting to manage their psychiatric conditions and being able to do so through the lens of their recovery. Additionally, we provide hepatitis C treatment as well as prevention for HIV for folks. So we're overall just really trying to take a harm reduction approach to people's care and supporting them with services. We do accept all types of insurance. It's Medicaid, Medicare, most commercial insurance. We also have sliding fee scales available. Our sliding fee scales do not require rejection from insurance, meaning that folks who are undocumented, or if they have somebody in their household who is undocumented, they can certainly access that to support them with their care. Generally, if finances are the only barrier to receiving treatment for substance use and addiction, please let us try and support them. That is the least of our concerns. We'll figure it out. So we can see folks same day, next day. Like I said, we're pretty new here in Las Cruces, and I'll let one of these guys give you the address so I don't mess it up. But we can see people same day, next day. So we know that that window of readiness for folks can sometimes be very, very small. And if somebody expresses an interest and ready to pursue treatment or just to learn more about what treatment options are available for them, we can support them with that same day. We have one phone number that can schedule anywhere in the state. That's anywhere in New Mexico and anywhere in Colorado. It's 866-MAT-STAT, or MAT-STAT, and that's 866-628-7828. Because we have a large network of care, we can follow people as well. So if there's people who are here in Las Cruces who need care and then they're relocating to Albuquerque or to Farmington or somewhere in Colorado, we can continue that care without any interruption. It's really supporting that continuity of care piece. Additionally, we work pretty significantly with folks who are justice involved. We work with individuals all the way up to 38 weeks of pregnancy. We will start them in treatment. We will continue to follow them through birth as well as after birth as well. I don't think I missed anything. Oh, yeah, we will also work with adolescents as young as 13. So we're working with young folks as well. Currently in New Mexico, we've got locations in Farmington, Albuquerque, Taos, Las Cruces, and Española, and we'll have about 3 more locations before the end of the year. So just really eager to be here and support people and help them with their substance use disorders and provide them with compassionate and judgment-free care. I'll let Nora give us the address, and yeah, thank you for your time.
Yes, we are located at 3850 Foothills Suite 1. We're right across Calichi's up by Mountain View Hospital. Also, just to let you know that on board in-house, we also have a peer support specialist, which is next to us, and he assists them with outside resources while they're in there, if they're in crisis. So at the same time, they get that extra service as well.
I'll be quick. My name is Andrew Thomas. I provide peer support. I'm an Aggie. I grew up here. My parents are both professors at New Mexico State. Well, my mom ran it. And I've seen this community and what it's become and what it can be. And we're happy to be a small part of this growing recovery part of our town. And it's growing fast, and there's a bunch of us. Reach out to any of us, please.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming in today.
And we have cards if anybody would like any.
Nora, you can leave the cards here with our city clerk if you want to leave some as well. Thank you. And now we'll have, again, we'll continue with our public participation up to 3 minutes. Katrina will be ushering you to the podium if you wish to speak. Thank you.
I come here today to bring up issues that I'm facing at home at 1472 North Mesquite.
Yes, sir. Could you state your name for the record?
Paul H. Borunda. And what I'm talking about is that's the address of where I was born and raised 80 years ago. And I have come here to discuss the issues that I'm presently facing right now. Besides having had a heart operation no more than 3 months ago, I'm under heavy medication and I have to take medications to sleep and whatnot. Well, in the process, going back a few years, I've been here before City Council many times in the past, even before your tenure as mayor, when Miyagashima was mayor, when someone going further back that sits on the council was mayor. And we brought up issues involving the Las Cruces Police Department or lack of enforcement of the rule of law. And nothing is done. I have reported homes and people from my neighborhood who are selling drugs, who do not get investigated and continue and are allowed to sell their drugs to the citizens and the youth of this community. And and it pains me to have to come here and say this. I have a son who is a drug addict. And he has been in prison several times. We've done as much as we can as a family to help him, hopefully to recover from his addiction, but it does no good. He has stolen approximately $40,000 plus from me in money and property over the past 10, 15 years. We've been dealing with his addiction now for almost 25 to 30 years. Well, I've made contact with my District 1 representative presently and informed her of what's happening and asked for her help, which has not materialized yet in District 1. We in District 1 face this situation of the addiction of drugs because of lack of law enforcement and investigations into by name and address of the locations where these drugs are being sold. On the 16th of August, I was attacked at a local grocery store here in town while doing shopping. And I called the police. The police came and did nothing to arrest the perpetrator, even though he was still on the property when the police went there. Just,
right. Mr. Burunda, your time is up. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yeah, you get 3 minutes. Everybody else is waiting for their turn, so thank you.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to say one last thing, please. Give me
Go
a
ahead.
second. I'm in the process of filing a federal lawsuit against the city of Las Cruces and the Las Cruces Police Department and all involved. Based on the rules of the new rules and laws of the state of New Mexico, I can file a lawsuit against the individual besides the city of Las Cruces in federal court.
Okay.
Because for the lack of protection of a senior citizen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, councilors. My name is Rick Renault, and I want to read off a very interesting email I sent to NMSU. Fire football coach for 10-year-old tweets, yet shield NMSU professors' racial attacks on Las Cruces parents. Good morning, Mr. Kavoda, Ms. Haggard. Can you please distribute this email to the NMSU Regents, Presidents, Dr. Torres and Dr. Ferme, and Provost, thank you. Rick Renault, PE, BS Mechanical Engineering, December 1982, NMSU. Dear Regents and all, I read with earnest the following articles regarding Tyler Wright. And there's 2 articles detailing how they found 10-year-old tweets and they fired him. The question for President Ferme and NMSU fires Mr. Wright, yet NMSU allows their own professors to racially attack Las Cruces parents, documented by NMSU's own emails, with no consequences. Note that NMSU's internal emails reveal that at least 15 NMSU equity professors participated, included in the shameful emails, as well as a Las Cruces city councilor. All apparently agree that Las Cruces parents were ignorant racists, whites and Hispanics included. Here's a letter obtained by IPRA. I can read every name off this. I could read every email address because this was provided by NMSU, but I won't. Hola, Serenas. Who are Las Serenas? Now we know. Pro-Ethics Studies Committee will gather at the LCPS building for the school board meeting at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, May 18th. If you can come and share a few words about brown people, above all you need education that reflects our realities as Chicanas, Chicanos, Latinos, brown people. I am Hispanic. I hate the term brown people. It's disgusting. The angry, racist, ignorant Las Crucens are organizing. We need to arrive in numbers and show support. The crime of the Las Cruces parents? In 2021, we exposed our K-12 children's racial abuse, mainly white children and Hispanic children. They were talking white talk. In the classrooms, they were allowing teachers to talk white talk in 2021. It's unthinkable in this community, in this assimilated community. So anyway, we asserted that you must judge people by the content of their character only. This is non-negotiable in our culture. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I come to you as one of the nuns. That's nuns, N-O-N-E-S, not to be confused with nuns, N-U-N-S.
If you can state your name for the record.
Oh, sorry. My name is Jim Hurst. And good afternoon. Again, I come to you as one of the nuns. That's N-O-N-E-S. According to Pew Research, we are the second largest and fastest growing religious category in the United States of America. If Donna Ana County is similar to the rest of the country, we make up 30% of your constituents. We have no creed, no organizational structure, no officers, no spokesman, no publication, meetings, or anything you might associate with a religious group. I confess that I am being presumptive by even using the pronouns we and us, and I must acknowledge that I speak only for myself, though I consider my views fairly typical of the group. Nuns have no religious allegiance. We aren't Christian, Jews, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, Sikhs, Zoroastrians, or pagans. We include atheists, agnostics, deists, and most of all, and those who accept no label at all. Generally, we consider religion to be an unnecessary burden on ourselves, our society, and humanity. While believers and clergy may come to make requests based on religious agendas, our agenda is less religion and less influence from religious groups on our government. As our forefathers and our nation intended, we want strict separation between church and state. Please evaluate all traditions of this city that violate the U.S. Constitution and the Constitution of New Mexico, especially the tradition of the National Day of Prayer services held at City Hall. I acknowledge that good governance may appear to be a miracle, but reason convinces me that it is an application of reason, compassion, and hope based on the human potential that produces good government, unity, and progress. For that, no deity, Christian or otherwise, is required, and none should be invoked. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Diane Starbuck for Animal Advocates for Change. I'm checking in on the status of the new animal ordinance. The city attorney has graciously been collaborating with us, and has met with Kathy Stark, Jerry Wheelis, and Animal Control. However, we are now once again unsure of the ordinance's status. It has been mentioned to us a number of times by Mayor Enrique that he would like to have a new ordinance by the end of the year. Are you going to set a work session or just proceed with a first read? It was left with Mr. Douglas that he, Animal Control, Kathy, and Jerry would have a final meeting, but we are still waiting for the city to contact us. Therefore, kindly advise us as to the current status. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. My name is Steve Chavita, and I first stand here as a citizen of Las Cruces, but I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I want to thank you for recognizing the Pride Band of New Mexico today. I was a member of the Pride Band. I started there 41 years ago in 1984, and I was or 1983, excuse me. But I served in the band. I served as a drum major, president. I met my wife at NMSU in the Pride Band. After my service in the Pride Band, I became president of the Alumni Association over that time. And I just want to say thanks to my involvement in the Pride Band, many of the leadership opportunities that I've been afforded in my life have come from the leadership that I learned as a member of the Pride Band and other marching band organizations. But I stand here today to introduce myself to you as the new executive director at El Caldito Soup Kitchen. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity again. But I want to thank many of you who participated and came out to the Empty Bowl celebration on Friday. We had a really great turnout. It was nice to speak to a lot of people and to be reconnected with many of my friends here in the community. But I'm here today to inform you and invite you to an event that we are having. El Caldito Soup Kitchen is celebrating its 40th anniversary in 2024. And as you know, the sun is setting on 2024 quickly. But we will be having a celebration on November 13th, and it'll be in your inboxes very soon, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Soup Kitchen, where we will have one of our executive chefs a volunteer chef who prepares meals for our clients every single day, along with our volunteer staff and our volunteers who cook. And we will be providing a meal to our guests who come in. We'll have a ribbon cutting with all three chambers involved. But I want to bring everybody up to speed with all that's going on at El Caldito Soup Kitchen, bring you into the great food that we serve. And I know, Mr. Mayor, you spent time there volunteering and serving and helping us, and we appreciate that. But I want to encourage anybody else who wants to do that to come out. But November 13th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. we'll be celebrating our 40th anniversary. More than 3 million meals have been served in that time since we began. And the way I look at it is this is just the beginning. We look forward to the next 40 years. But I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to stand here, introduce this to you, and I look forward to more involvement as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Hello, City Council. I'm Susan Greenwald Cabello, Executive Director of Downtown Las Cruces Partnership. I haven't seen you guys in a while and I have a lot of news, so I'm going to try to make it quick. Zombie Walk is this Saturday, October 26th, from 5 to 10 p.m. on the plaza and on Main Street. The parade starts at 7. It is free to the public. Anyone can enter it and participate. The band starts at 8 and will go till 10. It's going to be a great time, which leads me to my next point. Is it's a fantastic time of year to walk downtown. The weather is great. Councilor McClure and I are going to do a walkthrough of our businesses. I'm really excited about that coming up. Also, what is coming up is Small Business Saturday. That is November 30th. We are going to have a welcome station on the plaza. We're going to do something a little bit different this year. We are still workshopping the title, so this might not be what we land on, but we're going to do a red carpet paparazzi, photo shoot for shoppers, because they're really the stars of the show. So we're gonna have a red carpet, we're gonna have some paparazzi, and anyone who's shopping downtown that day can have a free photo shoot with a lot of clamor and attention, which I know is what everybody wants. Guys, we are also going to be doing a merchants meeting on November the 14th. That's a Thursday from 5 to 6 with the library. I want everyone in town, not just downtown, to realize how many free business resources are available in our library. From one-on-one help with Excel, which everyone knows I need. There's a makerspace. There is a library of things that can be used for business. Guys, it's such a hidden gem, and we do not, communicate the value of it enough, I don't think. So that is going to be, as I said, from 5 to 6. We're going to meet in the lobby of the library. Our librarians are going to take us on a tour, and there's going to be an opportunity for anyone who does not have a library card to get a library card at that time. So, guys, I'm really looking forward to that. That's something completely new that we're doing. In the past, our merchants meetings have really been focused on kind of just a meeting, getting attention out. I really want to kind of change that up and meet people at different levels of entrepreneurship, right? And this might be the first level of entrepreneurship, or it may be somebody who just needs a little bit of help in some technology or some kind of access to materials. So if you could help me spread the word about that, I'd really appreciate it. Again, hope to see you at Zombie Walk on Saturday. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council and Councilors. My name, for the record, is William Gilman. I don't have my daughter with me here today. I also didn't really prepare, so I'm just gonna gab with you guys. What's going on? What's cracking? What's new? Okay. Shout out to the New Mexico Child Care Subsidy. Speaking of which, she's at daycare today. And speaking of which, excellent. Thank you for your question, Counselor. Esteemed counselor. While driving back, there was some people working on the roads outside down at the end of Roadrunner, and there was like a truck and like 4 workers, and let me tell you, that's not cheap. So, what I can talk about today is Realize Las Cruces, right? So far in our nation's history, we prioritize car-centric development, which requires building lots of roads, and roads are very expensive. They make our communities, especially communities like ours that are blessed with an abundance of sunshine, a lot hotter. And it's kind of a drag, especially when they're really, really big and wide and black, like Roadrunner, and all of them, we overbuild our roads. So why should we not do that, and what does that have to do with Realize Las Cruces? Well, right now, everybody who lives over in the Park Hill neighborhood has to get in their car to go anywhere. I talked about this last week. It's a drag. So if we expand opportunities for businesses to open up and stuff like that in that neighborhood elsewhere, right, people don't need to drive as much. Maybe there's a little grocery store, a coffee shop, whatever. That would be lovely. People are justly concerned about issues of homelessness and stuff, and we need more programming. Camp Hope is great. I would love to see more data from Camp Hope, but I think Camp Hope is doing a lot of really good work. There's a person who mentioned a few times a while ago about a program in Boulder called the Work First program, and I think she's got the name wrong. It's actually the Work Works program. It's very different from like Work First programs like TAMF. I could say more about that on another day maybe. And we need something like that. I provide subsidized employment in addition to housing, in addition to medical care, behavioral health care, psychological care, all the things you need to support recovery, all under one roof. Great program, right? Where's the money going to come from that? Well, right now, our money is going to repairing all these roads that we built. And it's very expensive. And there ain't no GRT coming from that neighborhood, let me tell you. I mean, there are a few in-home daycares. I can vouch for one. I think they're full, though, so sorry, everybody. Yeah, so anyway, Realize Las Cruces, I think, is going to do a lot for us to open up the playing field, allow a lot more businesses to move away from car-centric development, have more multifamily homes, have different approach to things so that we are not living in a heat desert, right? It's like a semi-arid, semi-tropical monsoon, somewhat monsoonish kind of desert area, but it doesn't have to be so dang hot all the time, and you should be able to walk down the street. That's what I think.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jorge Aguirre, and I'm just here to request that you consider climate change when you make decisions about city codes and the infrastructure and choose sustainable infrastructure over car-centric development. I had the chance to be out and about this weekend, and yes, it's pleasant, but it's also very, very hot. This summer was hot. This weekend was quite hot for October, and every summer is expected to be hotter than the last one forever in our lives. In cities like Phoenix, the ground gets so hot during a heat wave that people who fall, are regularly sent to the hospital with third-degree skin burns. Under that kind of heat, the city becomes unusable, and people exist indoors, walking only from air-conditioned building to air-conditioned car, and vice versa. The risk is that Las Cruces may eventually reach those conditions and perhaps will keep getting hotter and hotter. It is clear now that the sprawl model in desert communities increases temperatures and asphalt maintenance costs significantly, which is the opposite of what we need. Communities that have thrived in the desert have often adapted their infrastructure to consider the movement of the sun, conserve water, and take advantage of the wind for ventilation. We don't do none of that currently. And we need to allow changes in the city code to allow for our city to be built differently. Higher story buildings with narrow paths in between them can provide shade and cooler temperature for ground users. Perhaps drivers like me can extend our commutes a few minutes to make space for trees on our streets and greenery on our spaces, not just for decoration and protection of pedestrians, but also to reduce the overall temperature of the city and to act as a buffer to catch water during flash floods that are expected as part of climate change in our region. Adding shade to our streets would incentivize more people to walk instead of drive, which will reduce traffic for the people who drive. Reducing driving not only puts money in the pockets of our citizens because driving is expensive, but it also has health benefits and increases retail sales for our business owners, while reducing crime, noise, traffic, and pollution. So please, I implore that you focus on car and pedestrian-centric infrastructure, green spaces, taller buildings, and that you prioritize the most vulnerable among us, because when you do that, you help all of us. Thank you.
Howdy, my name is Lonnie Montgomery, and I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And today I'm here to do about 2 or 3 things, and the first thing I want to do, I want to pray. Dear Lord God, we thank you for our republic and for being able to choose the people that make decisions for us and with us. And Lord God, guide this council, our mayor, that they can look at each thing that they have with a lot of care so that they make wiser decisions. And also want to tell you how are we going to save this country? Doesn't matter to me who gets in. There's one way to save it. We got to get back to God and the Judeo-Christian values that our country was founded on. So the way to do it, God says in his book, you repent up to heaven, and he goes down and he forgives your sins, and you become his people, and you become God. And everybody thinks, well, God is perfect, right? Well, that he can do anything, but he can't. God doesn't lie. What in his book is true. And one of the things he writes in the book is that when he created man, he created people male and female. He didn't do male and female plus or minus or whatever. And therefore, he thinks, and I think, there's no transgenders. And there's also a man by the name of Walt Howard who wrote Paper Genders, and he agrees with my way here that the way to change things is on paper. And Walter should know. He went and he became a woman, quote and unquote, and then he decided, well, I want to be a man, so he came back again. And then he wrote about this, what was going on, and that, according to some, it's called gender identity disorder, and that was in one of the psychological books, and they people they sort of rush through, and the people who are making the money on this thing, putting the hormones on, and thus go through a quick taking off or putting on of your genitalia and give me the money. And okay, my time's about up, so we'll continue. And well, God bless Las Cruces, God bless the U.S., and be sure to practice your Mandarin.
Thank you, Katrina. And thank you all for your public participation. Next is the acceptance of agenda.
So moved by Flores.
Seconded, Corin.
This is on the motion to accept the agenda as presented. Councillor McClure?
Yes.
Councillor Matisse?
Yes.
Councillor Graham?
Yes.
Councillor Cran?
Yes.
Councillor Flores?
Yes.
Councillor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. So now we'll get to the resolutions and ordinances. First one is 6.1, resolution number 25045, resolution authorizing the City of Las Cruces to accept grant awards for various city departments.
Move to approve, Graham. Second, Corin.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors, and city staff. My name is Vanessa Perez, budget analyst with the city, and I am bringing forth a resolution today to accept various grants for the city. The Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration awarded the Utilities Department $10 million, and this is to replace critical gas lines within the city. Some of these improvements include improving monitoring capabilities and odorization. The New Mexico Department of Tourism has granted $200,000 to the city manager's office, and this is to fund the Las Cruces Air Show. The Department of Tourism has awarded the Assistant City Manager's Office about $106,000, and this is to advertise Las Cruces and attract tourism. This award does require a match of about $53,000. The High Intensity Drug Traffic Area Program is being, their funding is being reduced by about $16,800, and this is due to changes in their personnel. The New Mexico Department of Transportation has awarded Public Works 2 grants. The first is in the amount of $400,000 with a $133,000 match, and this is to improve the East Lowman and South Walnut Street intersection. The second award is for about $193,000 with a $64,000 match, and this is to install new pavement, road striping, and adjusting a manhole on West Amador Avenue. The match for both of these awards is already available in our budget. The New Mexico Department of Finance Administration has awarded 2 appropriations. Both of these are routed through our Public Works Department for implementation as we are working with nonprofit partners on these projects. The first award is in the amount of $574,200, and this is designated towards renovations of a domestic violence shelter, and we are working with La Casa for this. The second award totals about $1.1 million, and this is designated to constructing and equipping a facility for a soup kitchen on the Community of Hope campus. For the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to shorten the New Mexico Department of Finance Administration to NMDFA because it is mentioned several times throughout the presentation. NMDFA has also awarded 2 appropriations to the fire department. The $2.5 million appropriation is to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip a healthcare building, including a mobile crisis and a critical intervention team. The $100,000 appropriation is designated for Fire Station 9. NMDFA has awarded Parks and Rec $400,000. $300,000 are designated for park improvements at the East Mesa Recreation Complex, and $100,000 are meant for park renovations, including trails in Las Cruces. NMDFA has awarded the City Manager's Office about $5.9 million, and the funds are designated for the expansion of the Mesilla Valley Resource Campus, and this is in relation to Amador Crossing. The Police Department was awarded $650,000, and this is to implement a surveillance system for the Real-Time Crime Center. The State of New Mexico Environment Department has reauthorized funds to plan, design, and construct a septic tank replacement in Doña Ana. You might notice that there is a negative amount on your screen, and this is because the Utility Department pre-budgeted for this reauthorization, and they over-budgeted, so we're bringing down their budget just a smidge to actually match the available balance that they have to carry forward. The next 4 slides are all reauthorizations from NMDFA. You'll notice that some of the amounts on this presentation differ from the amounts in the signed agreements. I've marked these agreements with an asterisk on the amount section, and this is because there is some miscommunication between the city and NMDFA. The city continued to spend funds past the stop date, and so the amount on your screen accurately reflects the amounts that are available to carry forward for our departments. $258,000 was reauthorized for Parks and Rec, and this is for the installation of a multi-purpose trail to connect Mesilla and Las Cruces trail systems. They were also reauthorized about $65,000, and this is to plan, design, construct, furnish, and equip a multi-purpose trail with Tortugas Trail Development. Parks and Rec was reauthorized about $175,000, and this is for improvements at the Pioneer Women's Park. They were also reauthorized about $85,000, and this is to install a new skate park. Parks and Rec again was reauthorized about $353,000, and this is to equip the existing skate park. And Quality of Life was reauthorized about $73,000, and this is designated towards improvements to the Amador Hotel. Lastly, the New Mexico Department of Finance Administration has reauthorized $632,000, and this is to install lighting systems, restore 2 parks, install a shade structure, and gateways to Klein Park and the Cultural District in Las Cruces. I would like to amend this resolution to strike Exhibit B in its entirety. And before your council options, and I stand for questions.
Does,
All right, thanks. Questions?
does the amendment, like you have amended it, so if we vote, are we voting yes or no on the amendment? Sorry, just to be clear.
It's very confusing.
I'm going to defer that to Christine.
It's very confusing.
Mayor, Councilor Coran, you're going to first vote to amend the resolution to remove that exhibit, and then you're going to vote to approve the resolution without that exhibit in it.
I vote we amend this by removing Exhibit B, please.
Second, Graham. This is on the motion to amend Resolution 25-045 to remove Exhibit B in its entirety. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Coran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Abstain.
You can't.
I can't abstain? Then the answer is no.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Did anyone have any questions on any of the presentation? On the presentation? Go. You go.
So since this has passed, this becomes more of a concern for me.
Councilor Flores, it hasn't passed yet. The only thing we approved was to
perdón,
amend the
perdón.
exhibit. Now we're going to move
Yeah.
with the,
And then we ask the questions
or you can ask the questions now on the presentation.
on the presentation?
Yeah,
So I can ask a question now?
right. So it hasn't passed yet.
Okay, so I can voice an opinion. Oh, but that part. On page 6, it says there's 10 million for utilities, can you go to page 6, please, on the screen? Okay, so these are DOT, oh, wait a minute, no, page 6, okay, I got the wrong page. Oh, Public Works, so all of this money is going to improve East Loman Avenue and South Walnut Street intersection. And when this money and then the match came through?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, for these specifically, the match portions are already available in our budget, so we're not requesting for additional funding for these two specific grants. The only thing coming in from the DOT would be about $600,000 of the award.
Okay. So the East Loman Avenue and South Walnut Street, I'm trying to visual, oh, I see. Yeah, that's that horrible intersection where there's a lot of accidents and people have been hurt, killed, I think. Okay, can you go to page 7? So this is the plan to design for, oh, so this money, where does the 574,200 come from?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, where does it come from? Are you asking for the grantor? I'm sorry, could you clarify?
Yeah, the source.
From NMDFA, the New Mexico Department of Finance
okay.
Administration.
Okay, and then the 1 million comes from?
Also from NMDFA.
It's all, okay. So can you go to page 11? Okay, so the septic tank replacement, I'm very happy to hear that this money has come into the city from the environmental department. So to reauthorize an agreement to plan, design, construct septic tank replacement in Doña Ana County. So is it land that I mean, it's Doña Ana County, but it's the land within the city in Doña Ana County?
Mayor, Councilor Flores, I'm actually going to defer this question to utilities. They would have the expertise on exactly where this is going to happen.
Okay. Oh, there he is.
Mayor, Councilor Flores. This is Carl Clark, Assistant Utilities Director. Yeah, all those are within the city limits.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So there's also a slide that provides money or report, you can stay there, because I have a question, a follow-up on that, to address odorization.
Oh.
And does that come within the whatever of its utilities?
Yes, it
so
is.
Would septic tanks be somehow addressed in that regard? Look, you know my position
Yeah,
on this,
Mayor,
Carl.
Councilor Flores. No, this one is actually for the natural gas system, so it's the odorant that's put into the gas system, so you can smell it if you have a leak.
Okay, and then on the money that's going for the money that's coming in for more work, would it be in the city, the East Mesa, the?
Councilor Flores, Mayor, Councilor Flores, there's a variety of projects tied to these dollars. There's a lot of old gas line replacement that's going on with it, old ABS pipe that is being replaced out in the field.
Is there any money then for the septic tank removal and the money to connect from the curb to the house? Because that's been an impediment.
Yeah, Mayor, Councilor Flores, no, none of these grants have that money in it. It was all part of the ARPA funds that were from the service line to the house.
Oh.
That's all been expended already.
And we don't have any more money coming in until we go beg the state legislature, or what do we do?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilor Flores, at this time, we are asking for it, but we haven't heard anything, but that's still coming up on the legislative funding requests. But to date, we haven't seen anything from the state in regards to that kind of money.
Okay, so utilities is submitting a request for that money?
Yes, Mayor, Councilor Flores, we will be asking for, I guess, for the residents, if we're allowed to do that. If it's not part of anti-donation, so we will be asking for that money as well. I think 500,000 or something like that.
How could it be an anti-donation thing? I mean, really, it's a health and safety issue. But, you know, we can argue from here to kingdom come on that.
It is on private property, so that would be the whole issue is
But
doing
it's a
work
city-
on private property.
Yeah, but it's a city facility. I mean, it's a city function. So that's what I would argue.
Yeah, Chair, Mayor, Councilor, yes, there's a dividing line where we stop all our utilities and then it becomes private property. And so water meters are stopped at the property line, so is the service line. The only thing that isn't is gas because it is a safety issue. So we run it all the way to the meter itself and we maintain that meter that's next to the house to protect it in certain instances, I guess.
So, Carl, have there ever been any variances on that?
Any variances?
Variances, yes.
Mayor, Council Flores, to my recollection, no, there hasn't been any variances to that I'm aware of. I know that there's certain instances when we're doing a gas line and we have to do a pressure shut-in test. The gas utility pays for that, and any repairs that may come about, there's usually some money there to help fix those gas lines that are leaking, because it's a
That's about
safety
it.
issue, yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me, the septic tank issue is a safety issue. I mean, we've gone back and forth on this.
Yeah,
and
it's an
I-
environmental issue.
It's an environmental issue, and I just don't see how, well, anyway, we'll talk about it later and when
Okay.
we talk to our legislators. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Clark. Thank you.
Anyone else with questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
None from me, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thanks.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-045 as amended. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is, excuse me, next is resolution number 25-046, a resolution authorizing the city of Las Cruces to accept first quarter budget adjustment for various city departments through an amendment to the city's adopted fiscal year.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second, Gorin.
Go
Good
ahead, Joe.
afternoon, Mayor, City Council, staff, and public. My name is Joe Padilla, Budget Analyst for the City of Las Cruces. I'm here today to bring forth the resolution to accept various internal budget adjustments. Before we dive into the overview of the budget adjustments, I'd like to share a few key reminders. The adjustments presented here today will primarily focus on updating the available balances within our existing budget. The following slides will provide a summary of the requested adjustments. For those interested in more detailed information, please refer to your packets provided. This slide outlines the changes in both revenue and expenditure accounts within the general fund. The general fund revenues will be increased by $3 million in the first quarter, as the revenues have exceeded initial projections. The fire department has requested an additional budget allocation of about $12,000 to cover the costs associated with the vehicle purchase. The city manager's office is proposing an increase of around $100,000 to fund the implementation of the Safe Waste Elimination and Environmental Protection Program. Additionally, there is a request for an increase of approximately $67,000 for the purchase of cubicles and furniture as part of the Communications Department office renovations. Considering the adjustments presented on this slide, the overall impact on the general fund will be an increase in expenditures of approximately $179,000, alongside the previously mentioned revenue increase of $3 million. The city manager's office is requesting a budget increase of approximately $111,000 to support the installation of fleet electric vehicle chargers. The police department has secured a reimbursable overtime agreement. This adjustment will result in an increase of $40,000 in both revenue and expenditures to align within the new budget. The Economic Development Department is seeking a budget increase of about $1 million. This funding will be allocated as follows: $900,000 for design of the Brannigan Library renovation and expansion project, and $125,000 to support lighting and carpet installation at the Rio Grande Theater. The city manager's office is requesting an increase of $65,000 for the purchase of an uninterruptible power supply battery backup system. The Economic Development Department is proposing an increase in expenses totaling about $4.55 million. This funding will be allocated as follows: $1.8 million for the purchase and renovation of a building, $1 million for the restoration of the Brannigan Cultural Center, $1 million for the Amador Hotel's ongoing project, and $750,000 for the Alameda Boulevard reconstruction project. Lastly, Airport is requesting an increase of approximately $23,000 for the sign and markings project. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Luis Vela to review the vehicle acquisition fund adjustments.
Mayor, City Council, City staff, my name is Luis Vela. I'm the City Fleet Administrator. This slide represents the adjustments that we made to the vehicle acquisition report. Although we had to adjust some of the pricings on the Type 1 ambulance and the coal bodies, we did not change the bottom line of the original budget that was approved. And these are the changes here. With that said, I will turn it back over to my esteemed colleague.
As you can see from bullet 3, I'd like to also amend this packet to strike Exhibit B in its entirety, and for your council options, and I stand for questions.
I move to amend by removing Exhibit B from this item.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to amend Resolution 25-046 to remove Exhibit B in its entirety. Councilor McClure.
Yes.
Councilor Matisse.
Yes.
Councilor Graham.
Yes.
Councilor Cran.
Yes.
Councilor Flores.
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo.
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes. Are there any questions to resolution number 25-046?
I have a question on
Councilman
page
Matisse.
5. Can we just clarify
Yes.
page 5? On item 1, can you give us a hint of a building? Is it a specific building or just any building?
Councilor Matisse, I defer that to our Chris Favor, our Economic Development.
I think he just wants to see if we're awake.
Good afternoon, Council. Chris Favor,
Community Development. We don't have a specific building in mind, Councilor Matisse, right now. There was money put there in case the city is looking for additional space downtown for staff.
Okay, and that's 1.8 million.
Correct.
And then when do you project this money to be spent, or you have no idea of the building, or?
Mayor,
or
Councilor
any
Matisse.
plan?
So when we were preparing for this fiscal year's budget, we were looking at options to purchase some buildings downtown if we needed additional office space. There was a few things that we were exploring in the springtime. Some of those buildings are no longer available, but this money's still in the budget in case something does come up that the city is interested in looking as sort of a satellite site for additional city staff.
Okay. When you say downtown, that'll be area specific? It'll be a downtown building?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilor Matisse, yes, because those are TIDS funds, so they have to be specific to located within the TID.
Let me ask you something. Is any of the TID funds expand, or will you be expanding those TID funds to the El Paseo area?
Mayor, Councilor Matisse, no, because the TID boundary does not extend to the El Paseo area. There's a very specific geographic boundary, and it doesn't extend that far. Now, I will say that Alameda, which obviously, you know, you got El Paseo one direction, Alameda the other way, that portion is within the TID, and that's what the funds on here specific for Alameda renovations are, but not as it goes into El Paseo heading south.
Okay, Chris, do you have any plans on when we do the MRA, will there be a TID suggested for that El Paseo area so that we can continue developing?
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Matisse, so with some of the changes that the state made to the MRA legislation, you don't have to put in a TID to get the tax increment. That ability will now be part of setting up an MRA, so you have the same ability to set up a tax increment without having to set up an actual TID. That tax increment will be part of the metropolitan redevelopment designation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for your answer.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Matisse. Mayor Pro Tem, you have a question?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-046 as amended. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is item 6.3, resolution number 25-047, a resolution authorizing the City of Las Cruces to accept a grant awards from the South Central Council of Governments.
Move to approve. Second, Graham.
Good afternoon, Mayor, councilors, city staff. I'm Gabriela Prats, the city's grant manager. So provide you some background on this particular program, the Government Results in Opportunity Program, or as it's called, GROW, is a new funding program through the New Mexico legislature. It replaces the Junior Bill program that no longer exists. GROW funds are different from Junior Bill funds because they can be used for capital expenses, as well as instead of having 1 year to complete projects, now organizations will have 2 years to complete projects. The grant that is being awarded by South Central Council of Governments, which the Council of Governments were tasked by the legislature to run the grants locally. So this is our Council of Governments. Is awarding $800,000 to the Housing and Neighborhood Services program in the city manager's office to sub-grant 4 separate agreements of $400,000 each to 4 nonprofit organizations. The services that this particular program or sub-grant funds are as follows. Permanent supportive housing in Las Cruces and Doña Ana County, support and training for young entrepreneurs, domestic violence victim assistance, and sexual assault support services. Here are your options on this item, and I stand for questions.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes, could you bring that back a page, I believe? Okay, domestic violence victim assistance.
Yes.
Do you get any type of input from the council to where this money could be spent?
Mayor, Councilor Matisse, actually, the legislators that provided the funds for each one of these have already identified organizations that will be funded to provide these.
Do you have a list of those organizations?
I do. It would be Mesilla Valley Community of Hope, who would be doing the permanent supportive housing, La Casa Inc. doing the domestic violence victim assistance, Community Action Agency is doing the work with young entrepreneurs, and La Piñon Sexual Assault and Recovery Services of Southern New Mexico will be doing the sexual assault support services.
Thank you. I'm really happy. I know Cassie attended that La Casa meeting. We found out from the CEO that many of the women, it could be men also, but that suffer from domestic violence actually is one of the big causes for homelessness, and I didn't realize that. So I'm very happy to see that, and I would like to see the council in the future actually support La Casa as much as they can. I didn't realize that was a big cause. Appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Flores?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that there's a distinction between La Casa and Casa.
No, La Casa.
Right.
Inc.
Inc.
To
Thank
be
you.
exact.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mayor. I have no questions.
Okay, thanks. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-047. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor.
Yes. Next is item 6.4, resolution number 25-048, a resolution amending the FY 2025 through 2030 capital improvements program.
Move to approve, Graham.
Second, Corin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Trijana Basnet. I am the City Innovation Strategy Manager. So today before you, we have a set of amendments, and we will split the presentation into two halves. Our CIP analyst, Cynthia Campo, will run you through some of our regular amendments to the CIP, and then I will come back to run through the design approved projects.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councilors. Cynthia Campo, CIP Analyst. And I am bringing the quarterly CIP amendments before you, and those include grant acceptance, budget to actuals, project adjustments, and design approved projects. So we have several pages of CIP amendments. The first few pages are all of the grant acceptance CIP amendments. And then we have several pages of budget to actuals amendments. Let me know if you have any questions on any of these. We have 4 project adjustments that are do not have any budget adjustments that go with it. They are just CIP amendments. And then we have 3 projects that are under the design approved project category, which Srijana will we'll discuss further.
Srijana Basnath again for the record. So, Mayor, City Council, as you all know, we do have a mandate, if you will, through the city charter to match up our capital projects to actually demonstrate our relationship to our comprehensive plan, which the City Council adopts, and it is the official policy for growth management in our community. We also have several other council-adopted plans, such as the active transportation plan that provides us with certain guidance as to what kind of goals and priorities and outcomes that the city should be working towards. The CIP being one of the major implementation tools to actually make that vision a reality. So as we transition from policy to action, one of the processes that become very important to us in the capital improvement program is the design process. There have been a few changes to this process. As you know, the entire CIP process is going through quite a few changes in the last couple of years, this being one of the more recent ones. And so the goal here is to really start designing or enhance our current projects to level up for our vulnerable road users, to actually match up these projects and increase coordination amongst the different disciplines within the organization, as well as to daylight sort of the CIP process with the community and to you all as City Council. So we do have certain guidance already adopted by City Council. Some others are adopted through reference in other policies, as well as our Complete Streets Ordinance. So we're looking to these guides to give us a little bit more perspective and elevate the design process. So this is what our typical process would look like. The user department, whether it's Public Works or Parks and Rec, will propose a project which then undergoes design. There will be interdepartmental coordination. Typically, these are departments that are affected and are part of the capital process, such as utilities, Public Works, and then any other departments that have subject matter expertise. It then goes on to bid construct. The major change here is that we are introducing this piece to bring in the planning and implementation line of business as a reviewing party and really to start aligning and matching up the project funding for 3 specific buckets that the City Council created last year in the CIP. And so this enhanced design process is really meant to focus funding on these prioritized project areas. So there's review, again, pun intended, we elevate the design. Collaborate, we build consensus. So there's a lot of debate. This is a mutually beneficial learning process as we cultivate capacity within the organization. We do a lot of research, we ask a lot of questions, and then eventually the plans and the designs that are really trying to achieve the vision is what gets matched up to the funding. So just as a reminder, these were the 3 funding buckets that were created. The programs are active transportation, complete streets, and resiliency. The focus here was to really prioritize safer streets, more comfortable streets for pedestrians, for cyclists, and also safer for the road user on all accounts. We also had a prioritization in terms of sustainability to create a more resilient community that is more responsive to environmental changes. And there is a focus on green infrastructure where we can incorporate those design elements into the project. So I'm going to run through quickly three projects that have been approved for those funding types. Here is Cortez Drive. Again, these, well, actually, I've said this so many times, I just said again. But we have a before and after for these projects. They are illustrative, so none of these are meant to be taken completely accurately, but they are at 90% design completion. So this does give you a good general indication of where we're going with these projects. For example, Cortez received funding in a prior CIP amendment that came before you for resiliency funding. Today we're here to award some complete streets funding for this project. So as you can see, some of the elements here are a buffered bike lane. There is going to be a trail on one side and a pretty wide sidewalk on the other. And the main feature here are these bioswales that were created to really be responsive to this area, to reduce some stormwater concerns, some flooding concerns. So it's just a better project. And here's some just research and facts for everyone's perusal. Research has shown that a bioswale can decrease rainfall runoff substantially. Another element is, of course, the street trees, which it seems like we can't have enough of because trees are so valuable to not just pedestrian comfort, but also safety and preservation or extension of the pavement life cycle. There's just so many benefits to investing in trees. Moving on to the next project, this is going to be our active transportation project, so Madrid Avenue. I'm going to point, so if you can see or the eastern edge of this picture here, you're going to see the extension that leads Madrid to connect to Trevize. That is the portion currently being reviewed and being approved for funding. One contextual point to make here is that when we view corridors and we design them, we should really be looking at these corridors as more than just getting from point A to point B. They create an environment, but they themselves can be destinations as well. So this is Madrid Avenue today, and then some elements that are being introduced, such as a buffered bike lane, a reduction of the travel lane. There is parking that is still maintained on this corridor. And then if you zoom in on this particular slide, you're going to see that quite a few elements were introduced, such as the pedestrian refuge and also a beacon crosswalk to provide for more pedestrian safety. There's also quite a bit of street trees being added to this section, and the buffered bike lane, which may not seem so significant as long as you have a certain distance from the main travel lanes, but even that perceived sense of safety is very important when we're trying to actually encourage more active transportation modes. This is just an example of a pedestrian refuge, which has been recorded to reduce pedestrian crashes. Another element here are the green intersection markings. So these green piano bars are meant to really bring the attention of all of the roadway users so that the cyclist does have a more safe way to cross these potentially dangerous intersections. That is going to be, I believe, the first time that we are actually introducing these elements on a city street at an intersection in particular. Third project is a South Main Street. This is showing you the intersection of Bouts with South Main. And an element here to point out is really the pedestrian crossings that are being proposed at the railroad. So this is something that our Public Works Department has worked with BNSF to create these safer crossings at these railroad connections. And so they will be receiving Complete Streets funding because we do want to encourage a more safe space for pedestrians. As you can see, there's also a buffered bike lane on South Main itself, and that actually runs through the intersection and carries on to the other side. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mayor and City Council to our new CIP manager. Cynthia Alamillo will now take over.
Hello, good afternoon, City Council. My name is Cynthia Alamillo. As Shana mentioned, I'm the CIP manager, and I'm very happy and thankful for this opportunity. So as Shana highlighted the 3 projects that we have for you, and in this screen shows the funding that will be coming from each of the projects to each of the programs. For the Cortez Drive project, it's gonna be getting $599,406. The Madrid project will be getting $1,763,802, and South Main project will be getting $2.1 million. So this is again to elevate all of those safety elements that were identified. I want to point out that in your original packet, there was a 4th project that was going to receive additional funding. That project is the Las Cruces lateral trail. And the reason why we're requesting for a temporary removal of that project is that we learned that the project has to go out to bid again. So Parks and Rec noted that the rebidding of the project will be time-consuming, and that will create some uncertainty on the total funding needed from the project and the actual time needed for complete the project. So we're requesting to remove that funding for now until we reassess the situation, and then we'll come back. So with that, here are your council options. As you will note, option 3 includes the removal of the Las Cruces lateral trail program funding, and it also has inclusion of the amended Exhibit 8, which is the revised CIP document that includes all of the CIP amendments for this first quarter of the fiscal year. So we have representatives from different departments to answer any questions, but we stand for questions.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Is this going to do the amendment?
Yes.
Move to amend the resolution to remove funding for the Las Cruces Lateral Trail and approve amended Exhibit A. Graham?
Second, Corin.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-048 to remove the funding for the Las Cruces Lateral Trail and approve the amended exhibit. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. Next is item, I'm sorry. Any questions on this? I'm ready to go. I'll put check marks down. Councilor Flores, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a question for Ms. Basnick.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you. So thank you so much for the presentation. What I'd like to know is whether we have the money, we have the concepts, and then you weaved everything, all the requirements with Realize and Complete Streets and everything like that. Do you see when we'll see the fruits of your labor?
Mayor, City Councilor, I will leave the project timeline question to the department who will execute the project. So I would defer that question to Public Works.
I think they went home. Oh, no. There's Steve and Tony.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Councilor Flores, Tony Trevino, Assistant Director of Public Works for the record. As you can see, based on the presentation that Ms. Bosniak just gave, Cortez is already out to, it's already been bid out, and construction will start here in the next couple months.
Wow.
So we'll actually start seeing some on-the-ground improvements here by the winter of this year.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
And then the other two are to, I believe it's Madrid, will be out to bid in January 2025. And the other one is South Main, which we're hoping to get out to bid by March of 2025, as long as BNSF gives us all our permits that we've been applying for and moving forward.
Great. And then Cortez, it'd be the entire street from, what is it, from Dunn to, or how does that?
From Dunn to Porter, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, from Dunn to Porter. Great. Well, that makes me very happy. Something I'll see that's being done in my district. I appreciate that very much, Tony.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
None, thank you.
Go ahead, Chris.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-048 as amended. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Curran is absent. Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes. So next is resolution number 25-049, a resolution adopting the Las Cruces Public Library's master plan.
Move to approve. Graham?
Second, McClure.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council and City leadership, City staff. My name is Carol Bray, Director of the Quality of Life Department, and we are very pleased to bring to you our library's master plan for your approval. This has been a long road for me especially, having been in Las Cruces in the year 2000 when we presented our first plan, almost 25 years ago now. But we are very excited to present this plan to you. You may recall that we did bring a draft of this plan to you for the work session on June 10th. We have been working with Godfrey's and Associates, our consultant, since May of 2022. And we have with us today Brad Waters, who will be speaking to you a little bit about the plan. I do want to also remember his father, Richard Waters, my friend and colleague, who passed away about earlier this year. And I knew Richard as a colleague, as someone who I worked with very closely as a librarian in the state of Texas. And I know he would be very proud to see the work that we are bringing before you today. I do also want to note that we have with us a number of friends of the library in purple, and we appreciate their being with us today. So we are pleased to present this plan to you, which we believe will meet our community's needs for library service well into the future. And now I'd like to turn things over to Sarah Booth, our Deputy Director for Library Services.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and councilors. I am Sarah Booth, Library Deputy Director. It is my pleasure today to introduce you to our library consultant, Brad Waters. Brad is the owner of Godfrey's Associates, a very respected library consulting firm located in Dallas. Brad has years of experience not only consulting to libraries, but also as an architect building libraries around the world. Brad's presentation today is a culmination of over 2 years of research, interviews, community discussions about where the library currently is and how best to serve the library community. I would now like to turn this over to Brad, who will present the findings of his research.
Thank you, Sarah. I wasn't aware that we were going to honor my father today, but I'll tell you, just for the record, again, I am indeed Brad Waters, and I am the owner of Godfrey's. My father used to own the company, but just understand he died of natural causes. I want to thank you for the opportunity to present the master plan to you today. As you will recall, last time we spoke, my firm performed a full assessment of all library operations. Our findings revealed that the livable community goals of Elevate Las Cruces, including quality of life, access to careers, cultural amenities, and even diverse housing types, are all aspirations that your libraries can reinforce. We phased our recommended improvements over 3 planning horizons of 5, 10, and 20 years, and we continue to preach that every step in the planning and implementation process is a public relations opportunity. Let me see here. How can I, there we go. We mounted an online survey on the city's website, which attracted 725 total respondents, with 93% responding that your library was very important to the community. Las Cruces customers exhibited their overwhelming love for their libraries, and at the highest percentage we've seen over the last 20 years. Similarly, the survey respondents are in favor of supporting their public library with their taxes. So here we also see the lowest we've ever seen at only 7.1% no votes in this case. The depends response typically translates into what's in it for me. So a good public education campaign for any bond initiative typically carries the day. Nationally, 7 out of 10 library referendums pass, and coincidentally, 70% of the votes are in the affirmative. We compared Las Cruces with 15 regional peer libraries of similar characteristics in New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, and Oklahoma. We analyzed performance across 100 metrics, particularly per capita measures, where Las Cruces was 5% above the total median and right at the median for the best practice levels of service. In response to these metrics, we recommend reinforcing what the library is doing well while rectifying most of the shortfalls. This matrix, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going the wrong direction here. Our recommended level of service improvements focused on this matrix of 14 public library best practices as highlighted in our final report in some detail. In terms of priorities, we recommended addressing the staffing in the near term, followed by your library square footage shortfall in the midterm due to the time it takes to develop those capital improvements, and then continuing with adding more convenient access to full-service libraries for all neighborhoods in the city over the 20-year long term. Las Cruces has the very lowest of the 15 peers in both staff expenditures and percentage of local fiscal support, where your local provision of 85% compares to the peers at 95%. But clearly 5% of library funding should always come from non-local sources, which is where a library foundation comes in. So we recognize that you've done some work on staff compensation that's been addressed recently, but there's still more work to do along those lines. Ultimately, prioritizing those fiscal improvements along with adding library space will help take care of most of the rest of the service shortfalls that we've highlighted. Working in conjunction with Public Works, it was determined that the best first step in the library system improvements is to renovate and expand the Brannigan Library, adding a new lobby oriented towards Main Street will help improve access to the library from parking. Upon entering that new atrium library, the public will be able to see that there are 2 floors of library space in the building to explore, and then renovation of the Brannigan ground floor will eliminate all of the current split-level floor layout, making the space easier to supervise and more flexible to adapt to future change. So extending the life of the 45-year-old library for several more decades. The $15 million estimate is a total turnkey project cost stated in 2024 dollars. So the sooner the project can be underway, the more the city saves in inflation. In terms of a second phase addition, we will add space to on the ground floor with a new subdividable meeting room, as well as a ground level for additional public space, currently slated for a larger children's area. This additional space will dramatically improve the library street presence and will include renovating the second floor as well. Again, the turnkey project cost estimate here of $16 million is in current 2024 dollars. And we are safe to say that any Brannigan library and expansion is an opportunity to meet and exceed city sustainability goals. Planning for the long-term future, despite adding the 20,000 square feet to Brannigan, your network will still need an additional 3 full-service outlet locations by 2045, in order to meet those 20-year level of service space standards and to meet or exceed Elevate Las Cruces goals and the city population projections of over 141,000. So in the map, you see Brannigan in blue, the existing Sage Library location, and the proposed new East Mesa location in green, and then the 2 infill branches in yellow and purple. We think it's important to note that the cost of land typically only equates to about 4 to 8% of total library project costs, so selecting locations that are most convenient to the greatest number of residents is much more important than using city-owned properties. However, the city-owned parcel set aside for the East Mesa Library, which is adjacent to the Sage Cafe now, is a good location. It just can only support about 26,000 square feet of a footprint with adequate parking. So it's also critical to note that a properly designed 35,000 square foot branch can be staffed for the same cost as a 26,000 square foot library. The $21 million turnkey capital cost cited here is for the 35,000 square foot prototype. Finally, coverage dictated on the map or depicted on the map shows a maximum coverage of a drive time for each location of 5 minutes by car, which equates to a 10-minute bike ride or a 40-minute walk. So you can see that with that kind of bikeability and walkability, there's still not a total coverage of the city limits. Let me see here. Finally, in terms of funding options, your budget currently equates, the library's budget, I should say, currently equates to just over 0.4% of the entire city budget. We recommend that adding another 0.4% over the next 5 to 10 years to almost double the current budget by 2035. So again, I'm not bragging when I say that even in Texas, our lower funded public libraries receive about 1% of municipal revenue. Nationally, better libraries range from 2 to 5% in Ohio, which is kind of off the charts. We recommend forming a library foundation to protect and grow your current bequests. The capital needs for Brannigan improvements can provide an excellent rallying point to build a foundation around. So we suggest that each council member help identify and recruit potential foundation board members. Lastly, to help defray the capital cost for a new branch construction, we recommend you consider joint use projects that include a mixture of developer-driven, affordable workforce and market rate housing. What the picture here is one of 3 such branches in Chicago. And just last month, Costco announced a building of a new store in conjunction with a branch library in Los Angeles. So to summarize, the most expeditious means to improve Las Cruces public libraries is to renovate and expand the Brannigan as the headquarters of an expanded branch network. That eventual expanded network will require a larger staff FTE numbers, and the additional facilities and staff will likely push the library budget over the 1% of total city budget, but with a likely return of investment of over $4 for every dollar spent on the library. As your municipal limits expand, GIS planning can help locate the best sites for future libraries, and ideally, a strong library foundation can help defray the capital costs for library network expansion. The end result of the master plan will be better educated, Las Cruces population with higher earning potential, living an ever-improving quality of life. One last thing I'll tell you, I see you've got your library badge. I find this, I call this my shield against ignorance. It comes in handy for me as I head home on Tuesday back to Texas. So I want to thank you for your undivided attention now, and I will turn the presentation back over to Carol.
Thank you, Brad. And again, we have so enjoyed working with Brad as the owner, I should have made that clear, of Godfrey's and Associates. And now, Council, here are your options. And again, Carol Bray for the record. Here are your Council options, and we stand for any questions that you might have.
Okay, Carol, thank you. Councilor Flores.
Thank you, Ms. Bear, and thank you very much. I thought we had a foundation. The Friends is not a foundation?
That is correct. We do not have a library foundation at this time, Councilor Flores. We have, the Friends of the Library are a 501c3 organization.
Oh, okay.
And they are an enormous support for us. Just so grateful for their presence always in the work that they do. They are dedicated more to fundraising for, I would call it the day-to-day operation of the library, the needs that come up from time to time for programs or a piece of equipment or other kinds of support. A library foundation typically has a different kind of role. A library foundation typically will be funding perhaps larger projects for the future of the library system. So, you know, potentially helping to fund the Brannigan renovation or a branch, a capital campaign for a branch, and that kind of thing. So that's typically more of the role of library foundations around the country, and that's been my experience with them.
So it's, it really focuses on the physical part of the library?
Not always, it
Yeah,
can, but typically to fund either a capital improvement project or a major project, a major service or program that the library might want to offer. Whereas the Friends, while they have been very generous in their support, do not see their role as being that overarching, I would say. So typically a library system that is moving forward will have both a Friends of the Library organization and a library foundation, which is also a 501c3 organization typically.
Right. So is there any movement in that regard in terms of establishing a 501c3 besides bringing it up today?
We are working with the Friends that are helping us to identify people in the community who might be interested in serving on a library foundation and helping us get that formed. So yes, we are moving ahead with that idea.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Breyer.
Add one comment to that. A lot of organizations, philanthropic organizations in the country, were more likely to give money to a library foundation than they are to a municipal government.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's another reason why foundations are able to raise more money you know, in terms of larger amounts than the Friends or the municipality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'd be a good idea to really focus on how important it is to have children exposed to all books. I don't believe in having anything banned or taken off shelves. And I think it'd be great to have the children who started going there maybe, or because I think there's reading circles for pre-K or the younger children. And then not track them, you know, like, but follow them and see how their lives, you know, just kind of follow that. Because I think that I know that libraries impact people's lives. I think they make a big difference in the quality of your life. It expands your world. You can read about different places and dream that one day you'll do that or go there. And so thank you, Ms. Breyer, and thank you, Friends, for your work.
Okay, Mayor, Councilor Flores, thank you for your comment. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Councilor Corinne.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to thank you all for the presentation, and you presented last year at our TSI committee, I think. or Quality of Life Committee, and so I remember, and thank you for fleshing a lot of these ideas out. I just first wanted to thank you, and also sort of want to speak to, I feel like we are in a moment where we really, the library, I know, serves people in exploring who they are and exploring the world around them, and also brings people together who normally would never perhaps encounter one another, from, you know, Dungeons and Dragons to like people who love plants. I know that there are like really a lot of constituencies that are served by the library in Las Cruces, and I think I would just like to speak to sort of the future plans. I know approving this is one step in that direction, but I do hope that when we are talking, I've said this before, but I'll say this again, when we talk about our next geo bonding cycle, I'm going to be advocating for the library to be among the priorities, among other things that we always, among other places that we always advocate for things, but I hope that we can consider this as kind of a roadmap for us, and I do hope that we follow it rapidly and robustly. So I really appreciate this really clear path where we can build our library system and infrastructure and connect to more people in a moment where I think literacy is perhaps threatened in a lot of ways, and so libraries are fundamental to addressing that threat. So thank you again for the presentation, and I just want to speak to my constant support and standing of you. So thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate your comment.
Thank you, Councilor Coran. Councilor Matisse?
No, I'm very happy to hear what Councilor Coran brought up, and I think maybe Brad or someone that's bold enough to give us an idea, time frame, when we should bring the bonding proposals forward. I mean, is there a time frame or a year, or do we just leave it in limbo?
Mayor, Councilor Matisse, I am not sure of the exact time frame for a bond issue, but I believe we will be formulating, and maybe city managers, assistant city managers can respond to this, but we are in the process, I think, of formulating the next bond issue. We are currently, I can tell you that you may have noticed there is TID funding for the design of the Brannigan Library renovation and expansion project already, was something you approved today. So we're very happy to see that. We are already, that design is actually in the works already, and I'm happy to say that Brad Waters will be working with the architect, the on-call architect, it's Desert Peaks Architects, who will be working on that design. So, you know, we feel good about the direction that Brannigan Library is taking, and then the branch library question and even the expansion of Brannigan will be something that will be, you know, will have to be determined by city leadership in terms of where that funding comes from. But we, you know, we are also doing our part in terms of getting this plan before you, helping you to have a roadmap, as you've mentioned, for where the library system can go in the future. And I think that is our job, you know, is to make sure that you have that roadmap in place so you know where we think the community should go. The Library Foundation can certainly help with that, and you know, we'll see where it goes with TID funding and a bond issue down the road. And Brad, did you want to speak to that?
Thank you, Carol.
Just a little more concrete schedule. We would anticipate design on the Brannigan improvements to start in January of next year, so 2025, probably a one-year design phase, and you'd be ready to potentially go to bid at that point. We're meeting tomorrow with Public Works to talk about some of these details. Because it's a two-phase process, we really want to design the second phase first and work backwards into the first phase so we don't paint ourselves in any corners as we move forward. So that'll make it a little more intricate, but I think tomorrow after we meet with Public Works, we'll have a much better idea.
Councilor Gray.
Thank you so much. Well, and Brad, I'm happy you said that, because if we are looking to our next GO bond cycle, I believe that would be 2026, calendar year 2026. So if we have 2025 to kind of really get the ball rolling and have something concrete to bring to the voters, I would also be in support of that. And my only other comment, I just want to shout out, friends, give yourself a round of applause. It was so lovely to see you packed the work session in June and you're here again, and it's cool to see you willing to come and sit through the bureaucracy for something that means so much to you. And as the crowd dwindled, it just got more and more purple in here, and I love it. So thank you. And I think it speaks to the importance of the library and to the work that our group is doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councilor McClure.
I'm just going to echo the sentiments up here, but what caught my eye during the presentation is your recommendation to fund 90% more. I think we can definitely look at what funding we might have available next year, especially since we work with so many different populations and have so many needs for the community. And before we can race off to building, you guys are doing. So I appreciate that. I told somebody earlier today that I trust librarians more than most people. So I'm definitely happy to help fund that as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you all. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say that I specifically wanted to be on today to vote for this, even if it was through Zoom. No offense to the other items, those were important as well, of course, but I really was just really excited to be supporting this, and honestly just feel deeply grateful for all of you who put so much work into this, and the advisory committee and everybody who's put their hands on this and bringing this forward. Very, very grateful for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I did have a question for Brad. Working with other cities, municipalities, whether it's when we look at other branches, thinking like partnering with the county, because we'd be like on the city-county line for maybe one of those branches. You ever work any partnerships like in metro or city-county? What are some of the things you've experienced with that?
Yes, even library foundations that partner with cities. But clearly there has to be a memorandum of understanding and very clear responsibilities worked out on paper before you sign in that endeavor. It best falls on the difference between who pays for the staff to operate the building and who handles the capital expenditures and the maintenance and upkeep of the building. Those are typically where it breaks if you have two different entities. In a county-city partnership, it could just be, okay, you're serving all residents in Doña Ana County, then the county will subsidize the funding for the percentage of people outside the city limits that use the library. That's another option that we usually see. So that is definitely a possibility. We did a master plan in Santa Fe in 2019, and the county there was eager to come to the table. So it was, they have more money, they have a lot of money in Santa Fe County, but that was a kind of a unique situation, but that does happen. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Carol, did you want to add?
Yes, Carol Bray, for the record. Just to add, here in New Mexico, there is a district law that allows for just that kind of model. It's really the only kind of library district that can be formed under law in New Mexico, and it follows a model set some years ago by Albuquerque and Bernalillo County, which has had a city-county library for many years. And based on that model, this district law was put in place. So that's something we haven't looked at very much, but a little bit, and I think it's certainly something worth exploring. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That was it. But thank you all for being here again. Kudos to you all. Thank you for the shirts. We appreciate it. And Christine, I think we're ready.
This is on the motion to approve Resolution 25-049. Councilor McClure?
Yes.
Councilor Matisse?
Yes.
Councilor Graham?
Yes.
Councilor Cran?
Yes.
Councilor Flores?
Yes.
Councilor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Yeah, you can wave it. It's close enough, right? Next is item 6.6, Council Bill number 25-014, ordinance number 3085. An ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 38, Article 5, Section 38-46, Las Cruces Innovation and Industrial Park Overlay Zone District.
Move to approve.
Second, Graham.
Sarah?
Good afternoon, Sarah Gonzalez with Economic Development. Before you is the proposed amendments for the Las Cruces Innovation and Industrial Park. Here is the park's boundary. From the north side, you can see it leads up to our airport. On the south side, it's going to be off of Crawford Boulevard, where you have Love's, the new Allsups going in, and Saputo Cheese. They're both also accessed through the frontage roads that are along I-10, which is the interstate and owned by NMDOT. The proposed amendments are to the design standards. Staff did come to you with a work session showing, some of the needs that were taking place. After you adopt a plan, you generally want to come back and say what's working, what's not working, how do we modify, and then bring in these businesses. So the amendments are going to be to your land uses, the parking requirements, sidewalks, landscaping, and signage. The first one is going to be for the land uses. We evaluated on the north side, which is basically aerospace, research, technology. There is going to be a need for indoor recreation or entertainment. That's going to provide for any of the walkable space or those buildings that are interconnected to have some type of gym or recreation facility to step away from your work or your space and to relieve some of that stress. It's very difficult for someone to travel back into town, which granted it's only 9 miles away, but once you deal with traffic, you get to do, your general workout, you get back onto the road and you're back into the same situation. This will provide an opportunity if someone does want to build some type of facility out there for someone to provide recreation. The second would be to remove wholesaling and outside storage from commercial. Based on the map above, you can see that the red area is our commercial zones. We have over 900 acres within the industrial park, and right now we're limited to maybe 70 acres that is actually commercial. We want to utilize that not as wholesale or outside storage. We want that to be maybe the hotel that's going to support the airport uses, some of those retail, some of those services, maybe eating venues for the surrounding neighborhood. And so we want to remove that opportunity because you can get that throughout the rest of the park. Lastly would be to include RV parking and hookups. What we've seen in Santa Teresa for the Loves is they have added that as one of the accessory components to their gas stations. So you figure when you're coming through, you stop at a Love's gas station, you may need to actually use your hookups. You want to use sewer, water, gas, get electricity if you can recharge, and then be on your way. So it just provides an added benefit for anybody who's traveling through Las Cruces. Next, we would go into the vehicle and bicycle parking. Currently, our code does say that there are no minimum supplied. So basically, a developer can come in and say, I don't need any parking for my facility, and staff can say, okay, you've met the requirement. With that, staff was looking at essentially following the adopted land use and then giving a provision to where if you don't need that number of parking, then we go ahead and do either a flexible development standard or reduce it based on the actual land use being proposed. Not every development will require the maximum number of parkings, at least for their facilities, but it does give us an opportunity to say that there is at least ADA parking on site as well as general parking. Next, we'd move into sidewalk installation. As previously discussed in our work session, we had went through a study that was done in 2019 by Michigan, as well as the United Nations, in showing how a park should be developed based on its end user, and that's how it's designed. We are still looking to install sidewalks on the north side of the park because that is going to be where you have aerospace, defense, research, technology, your science, and then the airport. So you're going to expect people to build more of a campus-like community, and so you'd want that to be a walkable space. Whereas currently on our south side, we're recommending not to install sidewalks only because we are looking at the actual traffic that is using it. Warehousing, distribution, agricultural, farming, all of those land uses require large vehicles. And so this just increases essentially non-pedestrian safety. You're looking at larger vehicles not able to see that person walking by, and then they're also creating damage to those curbs in those areas that are being installed. We move on to landscaping. Currently right now we have a blanket of just 10% throughout the industrial park. That doesn't necessarily make sense. We are proposing a ratio because as you increase the large areas, we're not looking at town. Town has 1 acre or less, usually when you're looking at a property and you're developing it with landscaping. Out there, we're looking at 19, 20 acres. And so one, we're still encouraging developers to leave the natural topography as to where it is. We don't want you to just go out there and grade all of the property and then not have to rehab it with some type of vegetation. So we use the actual percentage to show that we're still getting the number we need whenever they do go out there and grade. A lot of our larger parcels, the reason why it's only at 6% for 12 acres or more, they become fenced-in storage or they become warehousing. You're not landscaping that area, but we'd still want the area around you to be landscaped. We use this as a whole, so they actually have to use their entire property, not just the fenced-in storage is what we currently use now. So we're getting actually additional landscaping, even though it seems like a lower percentage when you actually do the calculation. Right now, if you were to look at our calculations, we subtract the buildings. And we say, okay, whatever's left over, that's what we want you to landscape based on percentage. Now we're moving towards just the entire property. So now we're going to see a lot more of that vegetation being in areas that are not fenced in. Lastly is the signage requirements. Currently we have modifications to both the actual signage size and the heights. What we noticed is a lot of developers come in with a certain model, especially when they're along the frontage roadways and they're trying to get visibility from the interstate. NMDOT has limited space on their signs, and so the only way they are able to get that is if they have a higher raised sign. You can also see that with their maximum square footage. The sign has to be a lot larger to be visible. A lot of models that were presented to us and where staff has taken in these variances is where we see you want to be a mile away where you can actually get off on the exit. So you have to be that far away to be visible. And so they've created different thresholds or models to say this is how high we need to be based on this height in this jurisdiction. What we've noticed is we have that comparability of 80 feet next to just the frontage roads. And so we're only requesting to modify the frontage roads to a higher height, but internally leave it at more of an 18 feet requirement. 18 feet is currently what we allow in any of our industrial zones in town right now. That actually provides enough visibility so that way if you do have overgrown natural vegetation, you are still visible from someone who is trying to get through and see you on those streets. We are not increasing the square footage though for our internal ones. 50 square feet is still large enough. When you see our yellow signs out there for postings of public hearings, those are 4x4, so that's 16 square feet. And so you would get that basically 3 times as to what is still permitted. This is still going to be a monument area as opposed to pole signs. So we're looking for monument signs to come into our park and still have kind of the decor of being inviting, knowing that it's still industrial. The last one is going to be your directional signage. Federal standards have changed over the course of years, knowing that 18-wheelers have a very hard time seeing when they are at 4 feet or lower. And so directional signs for our industrial traffic and the main users using our park should be increased to 6 feet. That's become the norm in any of the plans that we received, whether it be in town off of Avenida de Mesio, whenever we see any of our vehicle stations. It's mainly for visibility of our larger vehicles. Because this is a code amendment, it is required to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission. With that, it was recommended of approval with one condition by all of the members that were present. They are requesting to leave the no parking minimums as they are and let the actual developer dictate what is required. If that were to remain, staff will continue to work with developers on what their needs are and what's the possibilities if they don't have those in place. And with that, here are your council options, and I stand for any questions.
So I just have a clarifying question. So the recommended amendment from the P&Z is, we would have to also amend to reflect that, just for clarity's sake, or it's already in the proposal if we vote yes?
Mayor, Councilor Curran, we do not write them in because you do not have to actually use P&Z's recommendation. Okay. So if it were to be amended, then yes, you would amend the ordinance and then we would vote afterwards as well.
Okay, thank you.
It's a lot of amending today.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. Just one thought on this really, and it's not necessarily a question, but I'm still somewhat hesitant to move forward with a recommendation to not build out some sidewalk infrastructure on the south side. However, I will vote for this as is today because I do trust that staff has done the due diligence to come up with this recommendation that best fits the future and vision of the park. I obviously, you know, in the future, if those are needed, that will come back to a future council where maybe some of us will be part of and maybe some of us won't. And so that's obviously, that can still happen. I just did want to note that today for the record that I'm somewhat hesitant, but I do, you know, trust that staff has done that due diligence. So I just wanted to note that. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Christine?
This is on the motion to approve ordinance 3085. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Coran?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes. Board appointments, none. Notice of proposed ordinances, none. So city council member board reports and comments. I'll start with Councilor McClure.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, there's a lot of things I went to last week. La Casa was very interesting, like Councilor Matisse was saying. Jardín de los Niños had a mentorship program that they explained how they funneled people through their giving guidance to those who needed it, and it was just really fascinating, and I support their efforts heavily. We had a Historic Preservation Commission meeting canceled last week, which I attended as well, and many from the community as well. And the cancellation kind of stood in contrast to the pretty good meeting we had with city manager and the chair the day before, and talking about how the HPC would exist going forward. There's been some hurdles in the past. They're currently down a historic preservation specialist, and I understand from the time that that's been sort of an issue that a lot of people have great feelings about. But I do think that historic preservation for our city is key. I reached out to some of the past counselors when this was enacted in 2019 and kind of got a sense of where we're going. And I think that there are deep scars in the city from some of the history that we've lost. And the time that I spent working at the NMSU Library and Archives has given me kind of an appreciation, even though that, you know, my generation of family has not lived here. I am raising a family here, and it is important to know what our history is, how we've failed and how we've succeeded. I've been learning a lot too about how we butt up against private property issues. I think a lot of recognition isn't given to, yes, they do have the freedom to do things to their property that we have consideration of, can we save that? But I do believe staff is making due diligence on that, and we'll move forward with some determination of where does preservation and public safety come together. And that is an issue. Particularly the Fielder building is interesting to me because I think that if we have a prominent Black family and we can make use of it as something that somebody remembers from their childhood, and we have the need, Chief Story spoke to about, you know, we have issues with our juveniles that we could address if we had a teen center like that again. But if the cost is prohibitive, what can we do? And maybe the HPC can have a hand in that, and I think that's a discussion we should have going forward. So I'm just wanting to let people know that I'm aware of it and I am concerned about it. I think losing our heritage is a problem that we have in many places and to our detriment for generations to come. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Matisse.
Yes, I would just like to see before the year end from the legal department, city manager, so we can vote on that animal ordinance, if we could get that done in 2024. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Grant.
Thank you. Just to coattail on that, I was hoping that, as mentioned during public comment, thank you, that we could also have a work session in advance of that. I believe our last work session on the animal ordinance was over a year ago, maybe longer. I know a lot has changed, so I think it would be great to be able to have that conversation before it's in front of us for a vote. So yeah, if we can, I know the year is dwindling, but if we can get that fit in. And then the other thing, I just wanted to express some appreciation for our ASL interpreters. You are absolutely amazing. I watch you during these meetings, and the work you do is incredible. I can't imagine the both intellectual and physical. It's amazing to watch. But I did wonder, since the pets of the week are voiced from the perspective of the cat and the dog, did you ever imagine that you would be interpreting, sign language interpreting for a cat who was looking for a family? I can't imagine that that was part of your schooling, but I just want to say I really appreciate the city's move toward greater accessibility, and that I'm watching you up here, and it's really cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Graham. Councilor Corinne?
I second that appreciation and also the desire for a work session. So on both counts, thank you. I think that would be great. I don't have a ton of things. I do want to, I imagine city management might talk about this, but there will be a mobile food pantry that I think is in connection from the city Lift Up program, Casa de Peregrinos, and Roadrunner Food Bank, which I serve on the board of. So this Friday at Apodaca Park in the morning. So I think that's an exciting thing coming up, and I'm looking forward to participating with that. I also just wanted to give everyone a brief update on the MPO's progress. They are actually moving into another building. It's almost done, and so I want to again thank all of the city staff who have helped in that transition, including getting a lot of technology troubles sorted. So thank you to the folks, and then in finance and Ms. Bencomo's ongoing support and navigation of this process. The City Council, I believe, will see our joint new documents mid-November related to the MPO and their new sort of status as an organization somewhat separated from the city. And I think that's all I'll talk about today. Thank you.
Councilor Flores?
Yeah, I just want to, Councilor Graham and I serve on the Las Cruces Community Schools Board, and it's really, I just want to report that it's very successful. We entered into the MOU with, or the JPA, Joint Powers Agreement with the school district it was finally signed off in, I think, January or February of 2019. And the schools are blossoming. I mean, literally, they're just popping up throughout Las Cruces, and in some cases outside. For example, Doña Ana Elementary School is not within the city of Las Cruces, it's in the county. But the agreement is, of course, with the public schools. And they're doing a wonderful job. The board is, the schools are doing a fantastic job, and it keeps growing. The other thing I want to bring up is that Katrina Godinez, I just want to give a shout out to her. She's really a planner, and we have been hosting a Know Your Government, what is it? It's Know Your Government, and we work with Las Cruces high schools. What? 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 No, is it Know Your City? No, it's not. Look, I was one of the founders. I know the name. No, no, I'm just kidding. That is the correct name, isn't it? Yeah, it's Know Your Government, and it's the League of Women Voters approached the city several years ago And then we've been doing that every year, but my hat really goes off to Katrina, because she's already organizing it, and I think it's wonderful. Because I think in prior years, we wait until December when everybody's gone, and then we're, chasing around. But so that's, there's a lot of things that we do with the community that doesn't really get praised or with our staff, and it's just amazing the work everybody does. So there's a lot of other stuff, but not for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Flores. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, everyone. I apologize I couldn't be there today, but thank you so much to Christine and Adrian for getting me all set up to join you virtually. I just have a couple of things. I attended a lot of the CCJ legislative committee that was held at NMSU a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to give thanks to everyone who participated, especially Chief Story for the presentation he gave that was just really alarming regarding youth and crime relating to juveniles. There's always something about a task force or another committee that feels somewhat daunting at times, but I do feel like it would be important for us to bring in some thought partners, folks like FYI, the schools, folks who work with you specifically to begin talking about how we could best address some of these issues, because it was deeply, deeply concerning. And I think if we have great minds in this city, and I think we just need to come together to think about some pathways forward. And then the other thing I wanted to speak about was the bench warrant issue that I've been raising for several months now at municipal court, the $100 bench warrant issue that creates a debtor's court, essentially for folks who are going through the criminal justice system are just given more money on top of a sentence, and it just creates this debtor's court situation. And I would really love to address that since we're putting in requests before the end of the year. Before the end of the year would be great. I've just been talking about this for a while. And one of the biggest reasons I want for us to talk about this is because I know that enforcement on shopping carts and, the panhandling ordinances has begun. And after some conversations with some attorney friends, I realized that, silly me, should have really realized this before, but if someone is given a citation, for example, having a shopping cart, and they do not follow through that citation, and they do not go to court to follow through on that citation, there will then be a warrant for their arrest. And so there is a very high possibility for that person to then be detained, go to jail, perhaps have to pay a $500 fee, and then on top of that, a $100 bench warrant fee. So I think the more we can minimize that kind of impact on poor people would be wonderful, and would really love to see something like this come forward soon. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, we'll definitely get with Brad and Judge Filosa on those fees for the court fees that they have. We can look at that, because usually at the end it turns out to be written off as uncollectibles anyway. So that's something we can definitely address. On Friday, I did attend the Veterans Stand Down on Valley Drive. It was a very nice organization to see a lot of veterans in our community come out and assemble a stand down to help veterans that are homeless and others needing clothing and other care kits, supplies, haircuts, things. So kudos to all the veterans in our community for helping other veterans, and all the other vendors that came out to help out with the supplies. And with that, I just again want to send a reminder out. Veterans Parade is going to be November 9th, so please come out and support our local veterans. With that, I'll turn it over to our city manager, Ikani Tamupaya.
Thank you, Mayor Enriquez, Mayor Pro Tem Bencomo, and City Council. Ikanik Tampao, City Manager, and I do have a few announcements. I appreciate Councilor Cran mentioning the mobile food pantry happening on October 25th at Apodaca Park from 7 to 10 a.m., so I don't have to share too much because you did already, so thank you for that. The animal ordinance, just an update for everyone. Just wanted to let you know that this is on our radar. We do have it set as a work session. There's 2 work sessions left due to the holiday schedule. So we have November, December, but we have it scheduled for November the 12th right now for a work session. So City Council, if it's an easy work session, we'll definitely come before the end of the year. But if there's things that we need to work on and need to be workshopped, we may need another work session. But if all goes to plan, and it's always tough on something this sensitive and very important, but depending how that meeting goes, we do understand that it's critical to bring it by the end of the year, but we may need to bring it in year 2025. But you tell us how you would like to proceed after work session, okay? Thank you on that. And then Parks and Rec, we have an update on a shout out to our residents. This on Saturday, October 12th, Keep Las Cruces Beautiful hosted Tas No Mas community-wide cleanup event where over 600 volunteers collected over 13,000 pounds of trash throughout our city. Shout out to volunteers. They'll continue to remove litter in our city until October 31st. If you would like to volunteer, feel free to reach out to KLCB at 575-528-4506 or just talk to our Parks and Rec department. And City Manager's Office, Great American Shakeout, we have a emergency preparedness drill that occurs once a year. We've been doing this for the past few years. This happens, about 35 million people around the world participate in what's called the Great American Shakeout, where they prepare a drill, emergency preparation. And many of you may have been in our city building when fire alarms are going off. That's part of getting our drills and our security system and fire alarms ready. We had this that occurred last Thursday, October 17th at approximately 10 a.m. This event took place here at City Hall, and in the future we look to expand to other facilities. This exercise included a fire drill at an active shooter exercise. This is what we added to this year. Typically was a fire alarm, and we are working with the staff to build each year to do something more. And this year, that's where it expanded to an active shooter drill. So we give kudos to Vanessa King, Facility Administrator, Anthony Garcia, Building Ops Supervisor, our IG, Charles Tucker, who has emergency background, Chief Story, Chief Smith, and then all our City Hall floor coordinators and City Hall security team. Kudos to you all. And then our Assistant City Manager, Sonia, assisting with this. We appreciate all their help. The active shooter exercise had 3 departments, programs participating, 1 on each floor. We had economic development, payroll, and legal that were selected. And it was a surprise. No one knew which division or department was going to get selected. So because they were training, they were prepared and all went well. Everyone did an outstanding job exiting the building. We were able to complete that exercise within 17 minutes. We continued to offer training during October. This includes hands-only CPR, stop the bleed, and AED training. And an update from Public Works. There are a total of 45 streets as part of this project. The project is a $1.2 million project contracted by American Pavement, and this is a completed project as part of the 45 streets that were completed. Some of it includes Spruce, Bouts, Nevada, Lees, and Hermosa sections of these streets were completed in this project. And this is estimated to be done at the end of this month. Just want to give everyone a heads up on that. Again, Public Works, kudos to Public Works. This is a micro-surfacing project that touches about 45 streets, so I just named the big streets. If you have any questions on that, David has the full list, or myself, and we can scan it over to you on that. And then community development, just 2 more announcements. City Las Cruces is the highest rated city in New Mexico for our floodplain management, again for 2024. Thanks to our Public Works for the help in putting us over the top, and to our Community Development Department. And City Clerk, our one and only City Clerk, Christine Rivera. Ms. Rivera, will be sitting on a panel on Friday, October 25th at the IPRA Connect Conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So just wanted to give her shout outs on that. And Mayor, that's it for me. Thank you.
We're good. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Graham.
This is on the motion to adjourn the meeting. Counselor McClure?
Yes.
Counselor Matisse?
Yes.
Counselor Graham?
Yes.
Counselor Cram?
Yes.
Counselor Flores?
Yes.
Counselor Bencomo?
Yes.
And Mayor?
Yes.